Hello, thank you for checking out my video today. Today's video is kind of a follow-up to my previous video. In my previous video, I kind of felt like I rushed through the KiCad portion a bit fast. So this is going to be a little bit more in-depth, not exactly a how-to step-by-step, but just more in-depth, just to provide more information on how to use KiCad. So I've already got my project open today. Let me just kind of start here from the main KiCad screen. So you got a few icons across the top. You've got your schematic editor, your symbol editor. Use this to make custom symbols if you can't find the symbol that you need. Your PCB editor and your footprint editor, so you can make footprints for parts if there doesn't have one in the library. Gerber viewer, I don't usually use these ones here, mostly just these first four. You can also just click on your schematic to open it. So I've already laid this one out. I'm not going to delete this layout, but I'm going to actually delete the PCB. Now, I'm not going to save this, so I don't want to lose my good work, but I'll just delete that for now. And so we can kind of start from scratch there. To jump between the two, you can just click here. It goes between the two screens. So you're going to want to lay out all your footprints first. You don't have to do every footprint, but as many as you can up front, just kind of gets as many on the project. You can always add later or delete. So to put new symbols, you come here to the place symbol, you click that, click on your screen here, and this box will open, and you can search for whatever you want. So let's just say 8088. Gives you a few different options. You select one, and then you can just place it. So obviously I've already placed all my symbols. So I've got my processor, my address latch, my transceiver, memory I/O decoding, oscillator, reset button, RAM, ROM, my LSO4, and my edge card connector here. So if you hover over the item and just push E, it'll open up the properties. I think you can right click and open the properties as well. I just use the hotkeys. Properties right here, edit properties. You can change the value. That's let me zoom in a little here. That's the actual name that you see here. And that's what I have printed on the PCB. So you come in here, U1, 8088, your footprint. You got this little library. And then you can come in here and you've got tons of footprints to choose from. Some symbols have the footprint already linked to them. So when you place it, the footprint's already in there. Others, you got to come in and select what footprint you want. So add your footprint. And that's generally all you need to do in the properties is put the name you want, make sure the footprint's there. So like on your address latch here, I've labeled it, and then obviously I have a different footprint for it, 20 pin. So what I like to do is I like to come in and label the pins and instead of placing a wire. So the wire, you just select that and you can draw from each component where it needs to go, like that. You still have to label the wire because each net needs to be labeled. And as you can see, there's just one wire, and then you start to get more and more and more. And it gets to be just too busy. And like, I know some guys like to see kind of a visual reference of what connects to what, but that's actually kind of what I do on the circuit board. Like, because you can highlight the route on the circuit board and you can see everything connected. And so to me, it's like you can draw it here and then draw it in the circuit or the PCB, or just do it once. So I'm just gonna undo that wire. But so I go through and label everything. And once you really learn the components that you're working with, it's not too hard to understand how everything ties together without seeing the wires. So you can see like here, your address data 0 to your latch, address data 0 to your transceiver. But then on the outsides, all your data lines, and on the out pins here, you've got your address lines. You know, I've connected your grounds. I've got a capacitor next to each one. Sometimes when I do these, I'll just have a little box with all the capacitors, but most of the times I just put the capacitor next to each symbol that I want it. Some of your symbols are broke up, so like the LSO4, you've got A, B, and G, so you can keep adding if you use more parts, because you know there's more inputs and outputs on an LSO4 than that. Here's an example of a custom symbol, well, a custom footprint, I should say. So my edge card here, and I've created that. I've actually got a bunch of them in here. These are all the custom ones I've made. And you can see this is just like a pin header, but really it's an edge card. So you can see that the footprint doesn't need to necessarily match with the symbol on the schematic. But anyway, let's go to the PCB. This is where I feel like the most useful information is. So use this little icon here to update the PCB from the schematic. It's got to think for a minute, update PCB, and it's going to all come in like this. Now, what I like to do is start dragging them where I want. If all these connecting nets are too busy for you, you can unselect them. And what I do when I'm moving the symbols around at first, I usually set this to 100 mils. And I'll make sure you select off of all of them. So I'm going to put this over here. And 100 mils, it's going to kind of help your spacing just be kind of nice and clean. Let's move. Probably should have just moved everything out to begin with. Let's just... All right, let's just place this here. I'm not going to save this, but you could rotate them how you want them. Let's put that there. And then, so I do the 100 mils. It just kind of helps get your spacing where you want it. Let's see. So I'll find that capacitor there's the 8088. I try to sometimes line up the numbers. Sometimes I don't care because, like I said in the previous video, so if you hit E, opens the properties. I'm not going to show the U1 reference. I'm going to unselect that, the %R, and I'm going to change this to front silks. So now it's going to print the 8088 symbol instead. And then let's change this to, let's go to 10 mils. Obviously, if you want to work in metric, you can. And then let's just change this one. I'm probably not going to do all these because I'm not going to save this. It's just more for the demo. And then I like to move these. I'll either put this right here or I'll just put it up here. I usually try to line the F up with the edge there. And then let's just move this in. And some of my projects, this is spaced wider, but 10 mils, you got these dots to kind of help you line up. And these are not spaced evenly. So if you use the ground, if you select the ground, it's going to align that to grid. And you can see the 5 is not lined up with the 40. I like to line that up. And then I'm going to make it so that I see one little row of dots at the bottom. And so then we'll do the same here. and then edit this. You gotta, if you just want to move one little part, you gotta make sure you select just that part. Now we're down to 5 mils now. There's little hotkeys. Sometimes you hit them by mistake. Front silks on that one. Okay. Now I'm going to draw in some wires. So make sure you're on the front copper here. And like I said in the last video, I like to go right to left with the front. On the back, I go top to bottom. Generally, it's not always a solid rule. Now, coming out of these, I don't always come straight out. Sometimes I like to go at an angle and come off the bottom corner. It's just a preference. And, and I'll just come through, divide the pins evenly. Now, this is probably way too close. Let's make an adjustment here. Want to be able to get like these wires out as well. That's still probably too close, but for this it'll work. And then come across. And then on this one, I'm going to actually drag this up a little. You can select that particular piece of wire and then drag it how you want it. And I want it to over so that I can come out. It'll be for like these address. I want to be able to come out and through here. So what I can do now is I select one wire and I hit I and it selects everything. You gotta be careful when you do this, because if you got more than just this one little trace, you're going to select a whole lot of stuff. So I hit Control D to duplicate and I just move it up, and it'll automatically change it to this new AD1 on the wire. Hit Control D. Control D again, and like if you're doing a whole bunch of traces that are similar, you can just select all the wires. So now I've got more selected. Control D again, and now I've just hit AD0 through AD7, and they're all connected and nice and neat, evenly together. The same thing with your memory chips. Change this back to 100 for a second. You come in here and you might go, let's go address 0. Our grid's too big, so we want to go to grid 10. I'm going to come across, down like that, and then over like that. I think we're going to need to drag that over and then select I, and then we just repeat again. Now when you select multiple wires, you got to hold shift, hit I, so we're just tracing those in, and one more. Not all of them line up so neat, but kind of a neat way to do it. And that's how I place all my wires. On your ground wires, what I like to do, crossed, what I like to do on the ground is after you've placed, I'm just going to place some random wires. You got your vias to go through the board. So it comes down on the back, but then comes through the board and on the top. We'll just keep going across with this one. So there's our wire there. And then let's just say we throw in some 5 volts. So when I do my decoupling capacitors, I just go straight from there to there. I never come off of this pin here with the 5 volts anything. I always come off the capacitor to go somewhere else. Let's come down here. On this one, you've got to pick. Let's go the other way. Control Z will undo, obviously. So go across the top. And then we'll go across the ground. This is why I kind of come off the bottom corner instead of off the center of the pin, is so that these can both tie in directly to the side. Let's just come over here. And then what I like to do on your ground and 5 volts, hit E, and I change all these widths. On these ones I always just do 13. Makes them a little wider. You can't go as close to V as a 13, and that's where air checking comes in. But anyway, so you draw this up. Let me just delete a few items just because. So you just go through and you just connect everything. And when you get everything all connected the way you want it, you draw in your edge cuts. So come over here, edge cuts, use this polygon. On this particular footprint here, I've got this gray line to show me where the edge cuts need to go on this particular piece, because it's an edge card connector, and I've got it all measured out where I want it. So I just trace it, and then from here I'll just go over. If you look on the bottom here, you've got like some dimensions. You can just arrow until your dimension Y, in this case, is 0, and that means it's a straight line. And then I might just kind of cheat a little bit, and I just select it and hit Control D, and then I bring it up here so I don't have to eyeball like how long it needs to be, and then I just select, and it'll snap to the end like that. And there's your edge cuts, which you'll need for your manufacturing. So that's how I do all my traces and put your edge cuts on and change the labels. I've said this before, I like to not use the U1, U2, U3. I just put the name of the chip. It's just how I like it. As you can see, this label is outside the edge cuts. Your choices here, it'll give you an error, is to just move it within, and I'll just put these ones like right there. So you can move it in, or you could move your edge cut out if you want to do it that way. Let me close this, discard changes, and we'll just open up a new, the one that's not been destroyed. As you can see, this is the finished with all the traces. It's got, this matches the breadboard pin for pin. So that this is what the finish will look like. Now, where I really messed up last time is you want to check for errors. And that's what this little ladybug right here is for. You just click this, run DRC. Now, this is not going to tell you if you've connected it correctly for how that chip is. It's going to tell you if you connected it according to your schematic. So it's not going to run like an error checking, like, is your 8088 wired up correctly? It's going to check to see if you connected all the pins you said you were going to connect. You can see there's no errors. Let me try to create an error here. So I'll just put that real close to that. Oh, that wasn't too much. Try to create an error. Let's just drag this one. See if that gives us an error. Can't get an error when you want one. Let's just change the width of this to 20. That should give us a, well, maybe not. Let's change it to something bigger. Let's go like 25, and let's run our error checking. No, still none. Don't know why I'm having such a hard time getting an error. Seems like when I draw these, you always get errors. There you go. So you're going to get errors that look like this, and you click on the particular error. It's going to have a little arrow that points, and it shows where all your errors are. You can go and fix them. You just discard our changes again. And there you go. Let's see here. Once you get this far, you've checked for errors, you've drawn the whole thing. This is where you plot it. And like I showed in the other one, you can view it. This kind of gives you a rough idea of what your board will look like. And I check this for like labels, make sure everything's labeled. I've got like my name on there. All the pins are labeled here, how I want them. But you come here to this little plot, you plot it. And I'm going to plot my front copper, front paste, back paste, front silk, back silk, front mask, back mask, edge cuts. And I'm going to output to the Gerber folder. So in here, you got Gerber. You can see all your files here. And I talked about this before, this use extend X2 format. I used that once and it just got kicked back by the manufacturer and they said don't select that. So you click plot, generate drill files, generate drill files, close. Oh, and I don't change anything in here. I never have. I just generate the file. Close, close, and then you'll just go to your file location where the Gerber is, zip it, and that's what you upload to your manufacturer. So anyway, hopefully that's a better description on KiCad. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to answer them. So thanks for checking it out today.